everyone, it's the Ramen Noodle Goddess, and today I'm going to be talking about Chain of Gold. This is the first book in the Last Hours trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. And I can't remember when I bought it, but it took me about 3 days to read along with doing other things. There was one day where I literally did nothing but just read as much as I could of this. I really liked it. I've watched a couple of different reviews already on this, and I agreed with a lot of the main points that they were talking about, and I thought I would share some of it with you, along with just simply ranting about everything, about how I felt while reading this book and my opinions on certain characters. So the problem really begins with, as Will pointed out, as he's always right, always listen to Will Herondale, that there aren't very many demon attacks or just demon appearances around in London, and Will is obviously, I don't know if he was really suspicious, but he was more so just worried of people kind of getting, soft and not always being on their guard like they should be as shadow hunters. So he was right. Even if you haven't read this book yet, obviously something always goes wrong with demons and shadow hunters not doing things right when there are demons involved, especially the Clave. The Clave was not very good, as in every other book that I've ever read in this series. The Clave never does anything correct. So the Shadowhunters not being on guard all the time, not having as much experience with demons, leads to a lot of death and a lot of sadness. There were so many injuries, and everybody was confused, and it was a whirlwind of emotions, especially throughout the whole book, but mostly in the beginning with just nobody knowing what to do. And of course, like every other Shadowhunter series, it is up to the new children of this new generation to solve everything. Like I said before, the Clave basically does nothing helpful, except for probably pretending to be powerful. I also kept forgetting that this book took place in like the 1800s/1900s, so whenever somebody said anything related to like girls' expectations or just the way women are and just the way generally everything is, I was like, Cassie. So I'm gonna head into a little bit more of just like super direct spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, I would click away now, read it, and then come back and share your thoughts. So right off the bat, I would like to say I hate Grace. I think she's basically just a baby demon and deserves to die. If you've read Lady Midnight or just the Dark Artifices series altogether, I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this, but what's her name? Tatiana Blackthorne is basically, in my opinion, just like a more outwardly crazier, like crazy version of Malcolm Fade. And it was really, really weird to read because you could just tell that, like, I don't know if this is where it started, but like you could tell this is where you really see the Blackthorne family getting involved in so much dark magic and necromancy. Like, Lady Midnight, the Dark Artifices, covered in just literally the Blackthorns being involved in dark magic, and it's like, is this where it began? There's gonna be a lot in this video about how much I hate Grace, just because that was really in my opinion, the biggest thing that was a part of this book, and it's like, oh, that stupid bracelet. I don't know, there were so many emotions going through me where I just wanted to reach into the book and rip the bracelet off of James and just be like, can you, like, take a hint and see that you're not actually in love with Grace, and it's just a stupid bracelet. When she broke up with James and she took the bracelet off and he was like, oh my god, it's so painful, he went through withdrawal because the bracelet is basically like a drug, and in a couple days he was like, oh, I'm fine, why don't I feel anything? And it's like, because the bracelet is magic, James. God. And I don't know how Matthew also didn't notice after he went through that little scene with Grace after the breakup, and she made him kiss her with the power of, like, her touch or bracelet or whatever it was. And why didn't he tell anybody? Why didn't he tell James? James probably would have believed his parabody. It's like, why did nobody say anything? Part of me thinks that he didn't tell James because, like, at the end we kind of find out that he likes Cordelia, and we're definitely gonna have another stupid parabody love triangle in the next couple of books like we did in the Infernal Devices, and this book just reminded me so much of the Infernal Devices because of that, and also because it wasn't really forbidden love between James and Cordelia, but it kind of Cassie wrote it to sort of make it feel like forbidden love, and that reminded me of the Dark Artifices series between Julian and Emma, which I thought was cool. But what else is in my notes? Yeah, Matthew reveals that he kind of likes Cordelia at the end of the book when he's talking with Magnus at the engagement party, and he maybe just thought if James, I don't know, had a chance with Grace, maybe Matthew could get with Cordelia? I don't know. But that's pretty evil of your parabody to do. Like, that's some crazy crap. I don't know what Cassie's planning, but I just have a bad feeling of just bad things happening to Matthew in the next book, and I'm not excited for it. It's basically just the Infernal Devices all over again. Also, before I actually read this book, I saw that everybody on Twitter at the beginning of the release was kind of ranting about how they didn't like Alistair at first, and then they came to really like him towards the end of the book. And I don't know, I just didn't really, maybe it's because those tweets were in my brain when reading about Alistair, but I don't know, I didn't really hate him or dislike him that much at first. I didn't have any particular feelings towards Alistair as a character. I just thought he was, oh, you know, that typical macho male character who doesn't really like to talk about his feelings and takes out those trapped feelings by being a bully and just rude to the other kids. And then at the end, we obviously find out what he did, and it's pretty messed up. He, like, spread some rumor about, oh man, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was about, I think, Thomas's and Matthew's family? I don't know. I can't remember which families were involved, but it was a pretty bad rumor. And I don't know. I also definitely knew he was gay at the beginning, like, especially after Paris. Like, I just knew. I also wonder what's going to happen with Jesse Blackthorne. Like, I know he gave his last breath away to James when James was dying of that poison, but I still have a feeling that Tatiana Blackthorne's going to come through and bring her son back to life. Like, I just know it in my soul. It's gonna happen. It has to happen. That can't have been the last we'd seen of Jesse Blackthorne. Like, it can't be. It can't. It can't. Like I said before, I have a bad feeling of what might happen to Matthew in the next book or two, but I also have a feeling that Lucy, just something bad is going to happen to Lucy. Matthew and Lucy seem like those characters that they just might die, and it makes me so sad to think about, because Matthew is a troubled boy who is pretty easily lovable, but Lucy's lovable, but I feel like she also just wasn't really, man, I don't even know how to explain it. Does anybody else feel like that? Like there's just something bad might happen to those two. Not at the same time, not particularly in relation to each other, but just to those characters specifically. Also, James mentioning that he has a fear of ducks made me laugh. I don't really know if there's anything else I have to say. Like, overall, I really liked this book, and I definitely recommend it. I love Cassandra Clare's writing. I'm a huge fan. I would go to every single signing if I could, obviously not now because we're all trapped inside our homes. This was really refreshing. I honestly wasn't going to read this at first because, I don't know, it just felt like maybe I had outgrown her writing, but reading this made me feel like I was in the 8th grade again, reading Clockwork Angel for the first time, and it was really nostalgic in a really, really good way, and I am so glad that I decided to pick it up and read it finally, which is why I'm making this video so late compared to, like, when it was first released, because I wasn't gonna read it at first, and then I did. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to continue this series. I'm going to continue reading more of Cassandra Clare's books. I've read every single one, I think, except for Ghosts of the Shadow Market, which I just bought, so I'm definitely trapped in the Shadowhunter world right now. If you guys like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and to stay safe out there, and I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the book. The bottom line is Grace freaking sucks.